Flood either he lost the ball or couldn't catch up to a ball as he slipped when Jim Northrup hit it over his head, which scored the first runs against Gibson. And after that, basically, the game was over. And Judy Flood, his widow, would say that he would replay that moment over and over again in his head because he was the greatest defensive center fielder of his generation. So after 1969, he is traded to the Philadelphia Phillies, a trade that he won't accept, and invariably ends up in Washington in 1971, even as he's challenging the reserve clause and as a teammate with Denny McLain.
It's interesting, and that's when Denny McLain sort of falls off with favor. I think he douses newspaper reporters or people with ice water, and he has terrible.
He had done that in 1970, and that was sort of it for the Tigers. And so Bob Short, really the last owner of this, the last owner of the second generation of the Washington Senators, wanted to pack his team with stars, and so he brought along coaxed Curt Flood out of exile, and he traded for McLain, who was not the Denny McLain in 1968, and by that time his arm was just so weakened by his addiction to cortisone that you can say what you want about McLain, but he really should not have played that season, and yet he did, and it led to him led to a shortened career. There's no question about that.
Okay, so to sort of wrap this, In the Year of the Pitcher is the book we're talking about. Does Major League Baseball change the mound again after 1968?
They do. They lowered the mounds from 15 inches to 10, and they shortened the strike zone. And offense comes back. And I think it's because there's also an influx of young hitters across the major leagues. I mean, you see the Big Red players on the Big Red Machine and Reggie Jackson and so on and so forth come onto their own in the 1970s. And the pitchers that were able to adapt, weren't as dominant. And we're never going to see those numbers. We're never going to see, that the number of 1-0 games and shutouts and no hitters in the season again. And so that's why it is the year of the pitcher, and because and it'll always be known as that, and it'll hold a very special place in baseball history.
One last thing. It is also the last year that Mickey Mantle plays for the New York Yankees, 1968. Yeah. It's Denny McLain that I believe throws him the final pitch that he hits for a homer to pass Jimmy Fox, I think. Was he throwing in an easy pitch? I mean, Mantle still had to hit it, but do you know anything about that?
Yeah, it's actually in the book. It was after the Tigers had won the pennant, and there are 15,000 people in the stands. Even though Mantle hasn't declared retirement, everyone knows this is it. And he keeps motioning to Mantle, where do you want it? Where do you want it? And finally, he calls out Jim Price, who's the backup catcher, and says, just ask him where he wants it. And so, he gives Mantle a cookie the size of one you can see in shopping malls. And, he hits one, he hits it out to break Jimmy Fox's mark. And then the afternote is that Joe Pepitone asked for a pitch as well, and McLain promptly knocked him down.
It's a great story, and also a wonderful year in baseball. It changed things.
FM 93.5, AM 1150, WNDB Daytona Beach. Proud to be locally owned, a Southern Stone station.
Taking action on sexual abuse allegations. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. The Los Angeles County District Attorney setting up a task force as the abuse allegations in Hollywood grow. Fox's Michelle Polino has more live.
Lisa, LADA Jackie Lacey saying in a statement, in response to the widespread allegations of sexual abuse in the industry, she is assigning a group of veteran sex crime prosecutors to work together to ensure a uniform approach to the legal review and possible prosecution of any case that meets both the legal and factual standards. Noting right now they are not reviewing any possible criminal cases. However, quote, We are in communication with the Los Angeles and Beverly Hills Police Departments. Both departments are investigating claims against Harvey Weinstein and James Toback. Lisa.
Michelle, the tax reform bill has cleared a key hurdle in the House, passing through the Ways and Means Committee.
This amendment includes provisions to further refine our international tax reforms to help accomplish our twin objectives of increasing American competitiveness while protecting the U.S. tax base and growing American jobs. These provisions come in addition to lowering America's corporate rate to 20%.
Committee Chair Kevin Brady.
The GOP tax scam isn't written for the middle class. It's written for the wealthy donors and corporations shipping jobs overseas.
House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi, but there are key differences between the Senate and House plans. With the Senate ban would delay a corporate tax lowered to 20% to 2019. Vice President Mike Pence pushing the plan.
We're going to simplify the tax code. We're going to simplify 7 brackets down to 3, and we're going to make it possible for 90% of the American people to file their taxes on a single sheet of paper.
Pence speaking in his home state of Indiana. Fox News, fair and balanced.
Hiring is important, but finding the right people can be a real challenge. That's why ZipRecruiter is obsessed with finding you qualified candidates fast. ZipRecruiter's powerful matching technology finds candidates with the right experience. Then, their proprietary job alerts notify the most qualified people to apply for your job as soon as you post it. You can even add screening questions to your job post, narrowing your focus to only relevant applicants, saving you time. No wonder 80% of employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within just one day. The right candidates are out there. This is how you find them. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Businesses of all sizes trust ZipRecruiter for their hiring needs. We're so confident that ZipRecruiter will get you better results than anywhere else. We'll let you try it free. That's right, free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/trial. That's ZipRecruiter.com/trial. ZipRecruiter.com/trial.
Arrests in Saudi Arabia.
Opinions expressed on this show are those of the participants, the hosts, the guests, and the callers, and do not necessarily reflect the opinions and views of Southern Stone Communications, WNDB Radio, its employees, and friends. Comments regarding WNDB's programming can be addressed to D. Lang at DaytonaRadio.com.
Live from Daytona Beach, Florida, bringing a voice to America's forgotten working class, speaking the truth for the America that Washington left behind, making America great again, 1 hour at a time. This is Trump Talk Live, where we the people have the right voice. Presented by the Republican Party of Volusia County. Here now are your hosts for this episode, Vic Baker and Joe Fieldus.
Greetings, fellow American Patriot Trumppublicans, and welcome to the deplorable victory anniversary celebration. Asia Tour, Tokyo Tux, North Korea Squeeze, Mandarin Chinese Poetry, Beijing Bro. It's about mental health, not guns, edition of Trump Talk Live. The home of fearless truth-telling about our 45th President, Donald Trump, and his mission to make America safe, prosperous, and great again, while winning over world leaders with a firm grip on a foreign policy that puts America first in trade, in peace, and in prosperity. This episode marks exactly 1 year since the moment when Donald Trump's deplorable army of average Americans took back the White House, much to the consternation of the never-Trump doomsayers. You, the Trump nation, ignored all the dire draconian diatribes, all the slanders, slights, and scandalous lies, all the rejection, ridicule, and resistance. You saw through the whirlpool of lies, and you did it. You made Donald Trump our president. Because of you, we have a president who respects our Constitution, our flag, our military, our vets, our heartfelt American values, traditions, and shared history. Because of you, we have a president who believes you are smart enough to decide what kind of doctor or medical care you need. Because of you, we have a president who wants to leave more of your hard-earned money in your own pockets, with the freedom to decide for yourself how it should be spent or invested. Because of you, we have a president who has unleashed the mighty power of free American enterprise, rolling back job-crushing regulations, creating millions of new investment opportunities, the lowest unemployment rate in decades, record-high consumer confidence, a soaring stock market, and surge in new business and job development. Because of you, we have a president who puts America first, whether it means dropping bad trade agreements, pushing back on Cuba, rejecting the Paris climate scam, utterly destroying ISIS on the battlefield, serving notice to North Korea that the era of strategic patience is over, calling on Muslim nations to drive the terrorist from the face of the earth, and calling on Europe to help him save Western civilization itself. Because of you, we have a president who is not intimidated by the swamp dwellers of D.C., nor the corrupt media mongers of New York and Hollywood. We have a president who will say Merry Christmas this year and from now on. We have a president who stands up for Israel and who defends our nation from all enemies, foreign or domestic. We have a president who stands for you to speak freely, whether from a pulpit or a soapbox in the park. We have a president who understands that law-abiding citizens have a right to use a gun to defend themselves from murderous lawbreakers who don't care if you pass 1,000 new laws to stop them. We have a president who will do everything in his power to empower you, the average hard-working American, to live free and prosper without interference from deep state bureaucrats and nosy nanny liberal bullies. In short, we have a president who will restore America to that shining city on a hill, a land of opportunity, prosperity, creativity, and common sense American values. We have a president, Donald Trump, thanks to you and millions like you. The slanders of unhinged left are powerless against us. We are immune to the scurrilous media liars for hire who claim without evidence that we are extreme. No, we are the normal Americans who finally said no to the extremes of the lefties, who worship no God, honor no flag, remember none of the history that teaches how America got here in the first place. So, Thanksgiving is here early this year because we give thanks tonight, 1 year after the media had to choke on the words, Donald Trump will be the 45th President of the United States. We come to you from the studios of WNDB 93.5 FM and 1150 AM in Daytona Beach, Florida. You can also listen to us by going to www.trumptalklive.com and clicking on the link. You can watch us right now on Facebook Live. Find our live webcast on Trump Talk Live on the Volusia County Republican Facebook page. We're also live on YouTube. Just search for Trump Talk Live in quotes on the Vic Baker channel on YouTube. Listen to archived episodes of Trump Talk Live anytime by subscribing to Trump Talk Live on iTunes or Google Play. We're blessed again tonight with help from a crew of smart teenage Republicans, led by TARS Chairman Duncan DeMarche, handling our video graphics, and assisted by Malcolm Swaggerty and Ian Escalati here in the studio. I'm your fearless Republican truth teller, Vic Baker, hosting Trump Talk Live tonight alongside Volusia County's 2016 Trump-Pence campaign chairman, Joe Fieldis, who remembers that fateful night a year ago so well. Joe.
Good evening, Vic, and happy anniversary to all you deplorables. It was Election Day, November 8, 2016. Our Holly Hill headquarters was open for business as usual, and lots of people were coming in. They wanted just one more yard sign, one more bumper sticker. Some wanted to know where they needed to go vote, and we helped them find their precinct. Lots of nervous energy. I finally locked the doors around 7 p.m. At 8 o'clock, my wife and I joined the victory party at the Speedway. We said hello to everyone, and then we found Vic hunched over his laptop. He told us that Volusia County was going big for Trump. It was such great news. Volusia County was going to be bright red. Flagler County, too. Everyone had worked so hard. And then, being that I was about out of gas, and I don't mean my car, we said an early goodnight and went home. I did not want to see or hear the fake news personalities, so I turned on the computer and went to Drudge, my favorite place to go during the whole campaign. Drudge had a New York Times link to an election tracking gizmo that looked like a speedometer. No sound. That's what I wanted. Just give me the numbers. The speedometer graphic had Clinton on the left side and Trump on the right. The needle on the speedometer was way over on Hillary's side, and it indicated that she had an 88% chance of winning the White House. 88%. It was about 9:30. And then an hour later, Ohio was called, and the needle moved to 70% chance for Clinton. Just before 11 o'clock, Florida was called, and the needle jumped. It was now dead in the middle. The race was 50-50. About 20 minutes later, North Carolina was called, and the needle moved decisively over to the Trump side. Iowa and Utah were called before midnight, and the New York Times gizmo was now giving Trump a 95% chance of winning. It was over. And if it wasn't, if somehow the numbers moved back towards Hillary, I didn't want to see it. So I went to bed. Got up in the morning, went to Drudge for the headlines, went to YouTube and watched our president give his glorious 3 a.m. speech. I just received a call from Secretary Clinton, he said, and the crowd roared. I watched the various fake news people melt down, which was highly entertaining. Watched the happy scenes of We the People celebrating, and saw Hillary supporters crying. I then turned off the computer, turned off my phone. We went out to breakfast and then to see a movie called Doctor Strange, which I don't remember much about. But to anyone who saw me going into the theater, it must have seemed very strange because I was 10 feet off the ground, walking on air. Happy anniversary, folks. You did it. Do give us a call tonight. Let's hear what you remember and what you thought about election night. Vic, let the good times roll.
Yes, we're going to take you down memory lane. We're going to remember all the naysayers tonight, and we're going to talk about all the omelets covering their faces after the truth was known. We're going to start with a list of a little montage of people talking about all the outrageous things that Donald Trump said that were going to kill his candidacy once and for all. Let's start with that.
They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists, and some, I assume, are good people.
Donald Trump isn't afraid to speak his mind, but this time it could cost him.
Most people think Trump is going to flame out or drop out.
He's going to flame out very, very quickly.
Trump isn't paying the price in the polls.
Now Donald Trump is a top contender for the Republican presidential nomination.
He's a war hero because he was captured. I like people that weren't captured, okay? I hate to tell you.
You have to ask yourself, has the Donald Trump shtick really run its course? And today, with these comments about John McCain, it very well might have.
I don't think this is the end, but I think, and this may be a little bit wishful thinking, it might be the beginning of the end.
I think this was the beginning of the end for Donald Trump.
Really the beginning of the end of Donald Trump.
I will eat my right hand if Donald Trump is the Republican nominee.
Meanwhile, here we go. A new PPP poll conducted after his remarks about McCain still show him in first place with 19%.
You could see there was blood coming out of her eyes, blood coming out of her wherever.
Red State organizers said this is the beginning of the end of Trump's campaign.
I think this could be the beginning of the end for Donald Trump.
I think this is the beginning of the end for Donald Trump.
Two new polls out today have Donald Trump in the lead of the GOP pack, even after his recent controversial comments about Fox News anchor Megyn Kelly.
Donald J. Trump is calling for a total and complete shutdown of Muslims entering the United States.
Many people think that this controversy could be the last straw for Donald Trump.
I think this actually is the beginning of the end.
And there is new evidence today that Trump's recent comments about Muslims aren't keeping his popularity from rising.
Donald Trump is not going to be our president. He will probably flame out, I would say, probably within the next 3 to 6 months.
I don't think we're going to be talking about Donald Trump in 6 months like a meteor. I do think he's going to flame out.
Trump will flame out.
I think he's a Roman candle that's destined to burn out.
I think Donald Trump is going to flame out soon.
Every time people predict the demise of Donald Trump, he gets stronger.
Every time we try to predict that it's happened, we've been wrong.
I'm done predicting about Donald Trump.
You always wonder whether Trump's about to go over the line.
No, there is
always seems to recover from this.
Everybody that said the latest round of nonsense was going to destroy his candidacy, just stop.
You've been saying that for 6 months. Stop. You're going to be wrong.
I was wrong. I thought Donald Trump was going to self-destruct.
Yeah, I'm doubling down on my demise theory. I think he's going to collapse. I think he's going to be like sitting, taking the oath of office on some January 1st, and I'll still be predicting a demise.
On behalf of ourselves and our colleagues, we promise to do better this year.
Yeah. So they promised to do better next year. That was Brian Stelter from CNN. Yeah. So that's it. We're almost out of time. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to fast forward after the break to the actual nomination, to the actual election, and then we'll see how the media reacted to that. It's going to be epic, Joe. And you're going to want to relive this, folks, because it was hard to watch these people talking then, but now it's kind of funny. So we'll have to watch. And we'll be back with Trump Talk Live in a moment.
Your voice can be heard loud and clear right here on Trump Talk Live. Our local number is 239-0033. You can call us toll-free from anywhere in the USA at 800-927-0033. Stay with us for more fearless truth-telling on Trump Talk Live, making America great again.
Feeling stuck in a state of compensation stagnation? You know, another year with no raise. Then let State Farm agent Sonia Mori in DeLand help you get to a better state with a discount double check that can stretch your hard-earned dollars a little farther. Sonia will go through your car insurance to make sure you're getting all the discounts you deserve. Discounts that could add up to 40% and put a few hundred extra dollars in your pocket. Sound good? Then get your budget to a better state by calling State Farm agent Sonia Mori in DeLand today. Discounts may vary state to state.
Picking up the honey-baked ham is the official start of the holidays for me.
Oh, honey-baked ham is the best tasting ham ever. Oh, I love that sweet, crunchy glaze.
And it's easy to serve.
Leftover sandwiches and football.
It's tradition.
Smoked bone-in ham, tender, sweet, crunchy. That's the tradition.
Oh, you know they serve turkey, too.
I love honey-baked ham.
I just got mine.
Yeah!
345 Bill France Boulevard behind the Volusia Mall. Call 386-238-0026.
Your voice can be heard loud and clear right here on Trump Talk Live. Our local number is 239-0033. You can call us toll-free from anywhere in the USA at 800-927-0033.
We're back, and we welcome your phone calls if you want to reminisce about it. But as you remember, all the pundits said he's never going to be nominated. So let's go to that graphic, Duncan, where you can find that. He got the 1237 and then some. He got 1,500 plus, and certainly got nominated. And they had a wonderful convention in July and hit the ground running with these rallies. They never stopped doing the rallies, Joe. And then came, Joe, election night. Then came election night. So let's start listening to election night cut number 4 on Trump denial syndrome.
The scene here is so different than it was a few hours ago when people were happy and relaxed. There are people who are just in shock, and they are just stunned at the idea that they were completely sure they were coming to this event to celebrate Hillary Clinton becoming the first female president, and now they are confronting the reality that they could be walking out of here perhaps expecting that Donald Trump is going to become president.
We have a major projection right now. Donald Trump will take Ohio. CNN projects Donald Trump will win Ohio with its 18 electoral votes. And CNN projects Donald Trump will carry the state of Florida with its 29 electoral votes. Donald Trump wins Florida, a huge win for Donald Trump. That's his second home in Florida. Donald Trump will carry those 29 electoral votes. He's ahead right now with 98% of the vote in by more than 131,000 votes. A big win for Donald Trump. CNN now projects that Donald Trump will carry the state of Wisconsin. He will win Wisconsin with its 10 electoral votes. He's cracked the so-called blue wall that Hillary Clinton had tried to create. Look at how close he is. Right now, he has 257 electoral votes. He needs 13 more, 270, to be elected president of the United States.
And the wall comes tumbling down. This is the blue wall that Hillary Clinton had talked about. This is a state that Hillary Clinton hasn't even visited since the Democratic convention.
We are going to make this decision now. The Fox News decision desk has called Pennsylvania for Donald Trump. This means that Donald Trump will be the 45th president of the United States.
CNN can report that Hillary Clinton has called Donald Trump to concede the race. She has called Donald Trump to say that she will not be president, and I'm not sure the exact words, but probably to congratulate President-elect Donald Trump.
Right now, a historic moment. We can now project the winner of the presidential race. CNN projects Donald Trump wins the presidency. The business tycoon and TV personality capping his improbable political journey with an astounding upset victory. Donald J. Trump will become the 45th president of the United States, defeating Hillary Clinton in a campaign unlike anything we've seen in our lifetime. Donald Trump wins the presidency of the United States. He is now going to be called President-elect Donald Trump.
Some magazines are facing big embarrassments today. Newsweek had already shipped out this cover, Madam Secretary, but quickly had to change it to this, President Trump.
Ladies and gentlemen, the next president of the United States, Donald Trump.
I've just received a call from Secretary Clinton. She congratulated us, it's about us, on our victory. And I congratulated her and her family on a very, very hard-fought campaign. I mean, she fought very hard. Now it's time for America to bind the wounds of division. I pledge to every citizen of our land that I will be president for all Americans. And this is so important to me. For those who have chosen not to support me in the past, of which there were a few people, I'm reaching out to you for your guidance and your help so that we can work together and unify our great country.
We're fine. Okay, that's Donald Trump claiming victory. He was very gracious in his speech. Joe, we have a caller. We're going to go to the media meltdown in a moment, but we've got a caller from, it's Wayne in Ormond Beach. Wayne, you're on Trump Talk Live.
Yeah, hi, fellas. Just one quick comment. I knew she lost when 2 days before she canceled her fireworks. I don't know if you recall that. There was a little snippet on the news.
I remember that.
Yeah, and I thought she just gave up. She just realized, or her staff realized, they ain't going to pull us off.
That's exactly right, Wayne. We knew that they knew in their hearts that they weren't going to win, but they even lied to themselves. They're so practiced at lying, they couldn't even tell the truth to themselves.
Wayne, I think it was all those thousands of phone calls you made for Trump.
Yeah, that and standing on the corners and the bumper stickers.
That's right.
Waving the signs. Yep. All right, thank you.
Well, Wayne, thank you for calling, and we thank you and all the Trumpublicans who stood for Donald Trump. Let's go now to the media meltdown. You got to go to Cyan Bryan here to start with, and we're going to start the sequence of the media meltdown, and I'm going to help Duncan go through all the visuals that go with it for the Facebook crowd. Just relive the moments of absolute abject depression that we saw in the faces of the lefty media on that night. Let's listen, starting media meltdown with Brian Williams.
This is the time for real wisdom. Lightning round.
Well, America is crying tonight. I'm not sure how much of America, but a very, very significant portion, and I mean literally crying.
Everybody is crying and so upset, and it is the end of their world.
We were on Lifetime last night, and I was slowly getting drunk is what happened to me.
How do we explain how this is possible?
You're awake, by the way. You're not having a terrible, terrible dream. Also, you're not dead and you haven't gone to hell. This is your life now. This is our election now. This is us. This is our country.
This is a different Earth today than it was 24 hours ago. It's a different place. It just is different.
The woman who President Obama called the most qualified person ever to run for the White House couldn't break through. The question remains, who can?
Deeper concerns tonight that the world's shining light of democracy has gone dark.
Decency lost last night. And that's what's so hurtful about this.
This was a white lash. This was a white lash against a changing country. It was a white lash against a black president in part. And that's the part where the pain comes.
They come up to me and they're scared, depressed, despair, desperate even, almost clinging to me.
It was a rough night for everybody, I think. We're worried. The people are worried. Okay, he's the president. Now what?
It feels like we're trying to avoid the apocalypse, and half of the country is voting for the asteroid.
Is there a doomsday plan for a time like this?
Am I right to ask about a doomsday plan? Do you see this as a doomsday scenario?
So if Donald Trump is democratically elected and your son is serving as a Marine, you wouldn't trust his life under that commander-in-chief? And Kane said, I wouldn't. That's a pretty extraordinary thing to say if you have a son in the Marine Corps and that you don't trust the commander-in-chief. The people in the military defend the Constitution.
I genuinely do not understand how America can be this disorganized or this hateful.
From slavery to, Nazism, we have faced challenges before to who we are as a people.
The best ad campaign, the best ground game. This is a shot against meritocracy, I think, because she merited everything. And the normal way you standardize these things, she did what she's supposed to do to win.
She was Hillary Clinton, the most qualified candidate, the best suited for the job, the best temperament. Now we're hearing not a good candidate.
History is put on hold yet again.
Okay.
Wow.
That's the meltdown, Joe. What do
Wow. That's some serious sobbing and crying right there.
you think? Yeah. And they were just so certain that
End of the world, really. I mean, I was ready to jump off a bridge myself.
How could these people reject such a qualified woman, We already heard some of Trump's victory speech, so I'm not going to get into that because it's going to take a lot of time. But we're going to switch gears now because there's a lot of news going on, and we have 35 minutes left to get through the rest of the week's news. And this was the news of the last year we just crammed in there for you, but gave you a little taste of it, Joe.
It was a wonderful night. I hope somebody listening will go ahead and give us a call. We're still taking calls if you want to remember what you were doing that night.
Okay, we're going to start off with last weekend's tragedy at a Texas church where 26, or 27 if you count the unborn baby, were murdered by this madman with a gun who was just mad at his ex-mother-in-law, apparently, and just decided to mow down people in a church, including babies. I mean, what a depraved crime, And so, President Trump, of course, is in Asia. The media wanted to ask President Trump about this. So, surely enough, the president said, well, I'll have to address this, of course. So the president, we'll start with Japan 1, answered questions about this.
I want to send my condolences, the condolences of our First Lady. In tragic times, Americans always pull together. We are always strongest when we are unified. To the wounded and the families of the victims, all of America is praying for you, supporting you, and grieving alongside of you.
That was the first comment, and then he was asked about gun control, of course, and all this, and we also have a picture of the madman, the gunman who did this. Let's listen to what the president said in answer to that question in Japan.
I think that mental health is your problem here. This was a very, based on preliminary reports, very deranged individual, a lot of problems over a long period of time. We have a lot of mental health problems in our country, as do other countries. But this isn't a guns situation. I mean, we could go into it, but it's a little bit soon to go into it. But fortunately, somebody else had a gun that was shooting in the opposite direction. Otherwise, it would have been as bad as it was. It would have been much worse. But this is a mental health problem at the highest level. It's a very, very sad event. These are great people, and a very, very sad event.
Now, in Seoul, South Korea, the president is with President Moon of South Korea. They're talking about the threat of Kim Jong-un, another madman, to obliterate millions of people with nuclear missiles, and a reporter decides it's more important to ask about gun control. Okay, so this reporter from NBC News throws this question. Let's hear how the president responds to that question.
You've talked about wanting to put extreme vetting on people trying to come into the United States, but I wonder if you would consider extreme vetting for people trying to buy a gun.
Trying to what?
Buy a gun.
Well, you're bringing up a situation that probably shouldn't be discussed too much right now. We could let a little time go by, but it's okay if you feel that that's an appropriate question, even though we're the heart of South Korea. I will certainly answer your question. If you did what you're suggesting, there would have been no difference 3 days ago, and you might not have had that very brave person who happened to have a gun or a rifle in his truck go out and shoot him and hit him and neutralize him. And I can only say this, if he didn't have a gun, instead of having 26 dead, he would have had hundreds more dead. So that's the way I feel about it.
And are you
Not gonna help.
And are you considering any kind of gun control policy going
When you
forward?
look at the city with the strongest gun laws in our nation is Chicago. And Chicago is a disaster. It's a total disaster. Just remember, if this man didn't have a gun or a rifle, you'd be talking about a much worse situation in the great state of Texas.
President Trump lays it on the line. Joe, these reporters just don't have a clue.
That is just a sick thing to do. He's in the North Korea situation is so precarious right now. He's in South Korea, and this NBC reporter wants to talk about gun control. It's unbelievable, really. They never stop.
Yep. We're going to stop right now to take a break, and after we come back, we are going to give you a brief review of President Trump's tour of Asia, which has been triumphant, including his granddaughter singing to the president of China in Mandarin Chinese. When Trump Talk Live returns.
Your voice can be heard loud and clear right here on Trump Talk Live. Our local number is 239-0033. You can call us toll-free from anywhere in the USA at 800-927-0033. Stay with us for more fearless truth-telling on Trump Talk Live, making America great again.
Have you seen those bright work shirts that PNS Paving wears? Or what about those sleek black embroidered polos at Stonewood Grill? Did you see those durable work shirts the Giles Electric team wears? Do you know what they all have in common? They went to Mid-Florida Sportswear for all their business apparel. Why? Because Mid-Florida Sportswear is Daytona Beach's local printer for over 40 years that's been serving businesses like yours with work t-shirts, embroidered polos, hats, and more. From the front of the house in a restaurant to the back of the warehouse, Mid-Florida Sportswear can outfit your whole company. Businesses, government agencies, and more like Cunningham Oil and the Daytona Beach Fire Department rely on Mid-Florida Sportswear. For a great deal on t-shirts, polos, hats, safety vests, and more, call Mid-Florida Sportswear today at 386-258-5632 or stop by the big teal building behind the airport on Bellevue. After hours, visit mfswear.com and send your quote in. That's mfswear.com. Mid-Florida Sportswear in the big teal building behind the airport.
Your voice can be heard loud and clear right here on Trump Talk Live. Our local number is 239-0033. You can call us toll-free from anywhere in the USA at 800-927-0033.
Okay, we wanted to thank our sponsors tonight, Marino's Pizza in DeLand, Best Pizza in West Volusia, Milne Roofing. Call Milne Roofing, 386-986-8688. Sonia Morey, make her your State Farm agent. Ask Sonia for an insurance checkup in DeLand. And South Daytona Storage and Offices, 386-262-1857.
Okay, let's go back to Asia now, where President Trump began in Japan with a visit to Yokota Air Force Base, praising and thanking the troops that stand firm. We've got something like 50,000 in Japan still, all these years after World War II, to help defend Japan. He addressed the joint defense of Japan with the United States standing right alongside them in cut number 4.
Together with our allies, America's warriors are prepared to defend our nation using the full range of our unmatched capabilities. No one, no dictator, no regime, and no nation should underestimate ever American resolve. Every once in a while in the past, they underestimated us. It was not pleasant for them, was it? It was not pleasant.
The troops were clearly delighted that the president came to see them, and he, when occasion arises, he dines with them. He would rather dine with them than any potentate, he said. He told them the U.S. will never surrender to the forces of evil and oppression anywhere in the world.
We will never yield, never waver, and never falter in defense of our people, our freedom, and our great American flag.
Okay, the president also, of course, met with Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. I will point out that he met the Emperor of Japan, Akihito, and his wife, the Empress, Let's take a picture of that. Let's look at the contrast. Look at Obama bowing at the waist at the Emperor of Japan. The President of the United States bowing to a foreign potentate. Look at President Trump standing firm, shaking a firm handshake. That's the way an American president says hello. Okay. The president had a news conference with Abiy, and he, in cut number 4, he reaffirmed our alliance.
The United States of America stands in solidarity with the people of Japan against the North Korean menace. History has proven over and over that strong and free nations will always prevail over tyrants who oppress their people. Our powerful and enduring U.S.-Japan alliance includes more than 50,000 members of the United States military stationed right here in Japan. In addition to that, we have 33,000 stationed in South Korea. American and Japanese military personnel train together, work together, and will stand together to defend the security and sovereignty of both of our countries.
The president joined with Abiy in feeding some koi fish, which is a popular pastime in Japan. Of course, the media decided to invent something about Trump dumping the food on the fish and wanting to get out of there. That's exactly what Prime Minister Abiy did. He did nothing wrong, but the media couldn't wait for an opportunity to try to make some lie up about Trump.
Issues of war and peace being discussed, and the headline, and I saw it, everybody saw it, was about the fish.
The fish. A fish story, as I call it.
A fish story.
A big fish story. And, of course, the state dinner was very successful. The president was entertained by the prime minister at a state dinner. And the hit of the state dinner, stealing the spotlight from Melania Trump, and it's very hard to do that, was the president's communications director, Hope Hicks, who came dressed in a tux. And that put the media all a Twitter. I mean, boy, oh boy, boy, she looked good in that tux, though, I'll tell you.
Hope's quite something. Have we got a picture of her up there?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see her. She's up there. If you're watching Facebook Live, if you're not watching Facebook Live, you're missing it. But Hope really put on a tux, and boy, she knows how to wear a tux. That's all I'm going to say. Now, the president went to South Korea next. And, of course, South Korea is ground zero. And he pointed out North Korea should understand what's going to happen if they don't back down from all this toying with nuclear missiles. We're going to listen to cut number 5.
The regime has interpreted America's past restraint as weakness. This would be a fatal miscalculation. This is a very different administration than the United States has had in the past. Today, I hope I speak not only for our countries, but for all civilized nations when I say to the North, do not underestimate us and do not try us. We will defend our common security, our shared prosperity, and our sacred liberty.
He also addressed the National Assembly in Seoul, which is considered quite a privilege. And he talked about the shared sacrifice over close to 7 decades, Americans and South Koreans.
This speech was, again, hardly covered by our media, but this was, I've been reading about it. I invite people to go find this speech and read about it, read the speech. This is a really brilliant speech. He gives a detailed account of the atrocities going on in North Korea and our justification and the world's justification for stopping North Korea.
Another beautifully crafted speech, more than likely by Stephen Miller,
Probably.
but very well delivered by President Trump, and historic in its tone. Let's listen to cut 2.
By the time the armistice was signed in 1953, more than 36,000 Americans had died in the Korean War, with more than 100,000 others very badly wounded. They are heroes, and we honor them. We also honor and remember the terrible price the people of your country paid for their freedom. You lost hundreds of thousands of brave soldiers and countless innocent civilians in that gruesome war. Much of this great city of Seoul was reduced to rubble. Large portions of the country were scarred, severely hurt by this horrible war. The economy of this nation was demolished. But as the entire world knows, over the next 2 generations, something miraculous happened on the southern half of this peninsula. Family by family, city by city, the people of South Korea built this country into what is today one of the great nations of the world, and I congratulate you. In less than 1 lifetime, South Korea climbed from total devastation to among the wealthiest nations on earth.
The stark contrast, he said, 23 miles to the north of where he was speaking is where the line is drawn, and the stark difference can be witnessed. The North Korean miracle ends at that line. Let's listen to cut 3.
The Korean miracle extends exactly as far as the armies of free nations advanced in 1953, 25 miles to the north. There it stops. It all comes to an end. Dead stop. The flourishing ends, and the prison state of North Korea sadly begins. Workers in North Korea labor grueling hours in unbearable conditions for almost no pay. Recently, the entire working population was ordered to work for 70 days straight, or else pay for a day of rest. Families live in homes without plumbing, and fewer than half have electricity. Parents bribe teachers in hopes of saving their sons and daughters from forced labor. More than 1 million North Koreans died of famine in the 1990s, and more continue to die of hunger today. Among children under the age of 5, nearly 30% of afflicted and are afflicted by stunted growth due to malnutrition. And yet, in 2012 and 2013, the regime spent an estimated $200 million, or almost half the money that it allocated to improve living standards for its people, to instead build even more monuments, towers, and statues to glorify its dictators. What remains of the meager harvest of the North Korean economy is distributed according to perceived loyalty to a twisted regime. Far from valuing its people as equal citizens, this cruel dictatorship measures them, scores them, and ranks them based on the most arbitrary indications of their allegiance to the state. Those who score the highest in loyalty may live in the capital city. Those who score the lowest starve. A small infraction by one citizen, such as accidentally staining a picture of the tyrant printed in a discarded newspaper, can wreck the social credit rank of his entire family for many decades. An estimated 100,000 North Koreans suffer in gulags, toiling in forced labor, and enduring torture, starvation, rape, and murder on a constant basis.
Folks, I know that took a little time to listen to, but I think we needed to hear it. Joe?
It's been glossed over. Everyone knows North Korea is bad, but the president's speech went into these details and wanted everyone to understand just exactly what North Korea is and why it's so important that we stand up to them.
One last section of the speech, a short one, I promise, is his message to North Korea. And we'll go back to the assembly as Donald Trump tells that little tin dictator up there exactly what to expect from the United States. Cut 5.
The regime has interpreted America's past restraint as weakness. This would be a fatal miscalculation. This is a very different administration than the United States has had in the past. Today, I hope I speak not only for our countries, but for all civilized nations when I say to the North, do not underestimate us and do not try us. We will defend our common security, our shared prosperity, and our sacred liberty.
I think we'll cut it off there, go to a commercial break, and we'll just have a little bit more with President Trump in China, and the rest of the week's news we'll cram into a tiny little pigeonhole as fast as we can when Trump Talk Live returns.
Your voice can be heard loud and clear right here on Trump Talk Live. Our local number is 239-0033. You can call us toll-free from anywhere in the USA at 800-927-0033. Stay with us for more fearless truth-telling on Trump Talk Live, making America great again.
It's not like you go looking for a new one every day, even every year. But when it's your garage door, you need it to be dependable. You need it to last for years and work hard for you every day. Just like the Overhead Door Company of Daytona Beach.
Your garage door is something you're going to look at and use every day. So when you do need a new garage door or repair, you should choose a company as dependable as you need that garage door to be. This is Jeff Hogg at Overhead Door Company of Daytona Beach. We've won the Small Business of the Year award, and we've been voted best around for over 25 years. That's why we're Daytona's source for residential and commercial garage door service and installation. When you think about it, they go up, they go down, they open, they close, and when they don't, you need to call the company that is voted best around. Overhead Door Company of Daytona Beach.
Overhead Door Company of Daytona Beach. Call 386-226-3870 or visit overheaddoordaytona.com for the genuine, the original, the Overhead Door Company of Daytona Beach.
Your voice can be heard loud and clear right here on Trump Talk Live. Our local number is 239-0033. You can call us toll-free from anywhere in the USA at 800-927-0033.
President Trump was welcomed to Beijing by Chinese President Xi Jinping and treated as an honored guest. They attended a number of events, cultural events, and signed a $253.5 billion trade deal. Talked about things they really do cooperate and agree upon. And it's interesting to note that the president is getting a lot more cooperation from China right now on North Korea than he is Russia. Rex Tillerson had a news conference and pointed out that Russian President Putin is going to be in Vietnam on the next stop of the president's trip. If he wants to see President Trump, he'd better come to the table offering to stop sending supplies and trading with North Korea. Apparently, China has cut off North Korea, but Russia's picking up the slack, and the president's calling him out on it. But in the meantime, President Xi Jinping, here's what he said in Cut 2 about supporting President Trump, because we know where President Trump stands. Let's hear what the President of China stands, Cut 2.
We reiterated the firm commitment upholding international non-proliferation regime. The two sides will continue to fully and strictly implement UN Security Council resolutions. At the same time, the two sides commit to working toward a solution through dialogue and negotiation. And we are ready to discuss with relevant parties the pathway leading to enduring peace and stability in the peninsula and the Northeast Asia. The two sides will maintain communication and cooperation on the Korean Peninsula issue.
Yeah, very cooperative, no adversarial talk. They seem to get along quite well.
It's unprecedented what the kind of cooperation President Trump is getting, and it's another thing that's not being talked about in the media. They don't want to give him credit for that.
The president of China pointed out, yes, we're going to have differences because we're two different countries, but we can work things out. Let's listen to cut number 4 from the president of China.
As two distinctive countries, our two sides may have different views or differences on some issues. This is only natural. The key is to properly handle and manage them. There is far more common interest between our two countries than differences.
And President Trump himself, we're going to go to cut 5 next, said that he doesn't necessarily blame China as much for our trade imbalance as he does some previous administrations that didn't trade smart with China. Let's listen to that.
I don't blame China. After all, who can blame a country for being able to take advantage of another country for the benefit of its citizens? I give China great credit. But in actuality, I do blame past administrations for allowing this out-of-control trade deficit to take place and to grow.
Now, President Xi, we're going to go back to cut 3, talked about the great relationship that he's developed with President Trump since his visit to Mar-a-Lago.
The President and I have had in-depth discussions on China-U.S. relations and major international and regional issues of mutual interest. We reviewed the important progress made in the relationship since we met at Mar-a-Lago, and we discussed how to further move forward the relationship in the months ahead in great depth, and we reached a series of new and important consensus. Our meeting is constructive and productive. I shared with the President China's firm commitment to deeper reform, greater opening up, and a path of peaceful development.
So, we're not rattling sabers. Now, here is the coup de grace when it comes to international diplomacy. Bring out your granddaughter, have her sing in the native language of the country you're visiting. And the Chinese revere families, they revere tradition, they revere their culture. And so what happens is Ivanka Trump, who speaks fluent Mandarin Chinese, presented her daughter, the president's granddaughter, to the president of China and his wife, and she performed a poem for them in Mandarin Chinese. Let's listen.
Vic, this was, besides being cute, is really wonderful diplomacy. This child was met the Chinese president and his wife in Mar-a-Lago, and they were completely charmed. This particular performance was put on Chinese internet by the official Chinese communication people, the state agencies, and the entire nation of China has fallen in love with her. This is more than just cute stuff. This is really excellent diplomacy.
And it really is, and it's a secret weapon, actually. Now, on the home front, the House Ways and Means Committee, by a party line vote, approved President Trump's tax plan, as is, pretty much, without all those silly amendments the Democrats are trying to throw Molotov cocktails at the law. And it will go to the Senate, where the Senate will inevitably put in all kinds of cholesterol and kinks in the machinery and slow it down. They're trying to phase in the tax cut for the corporate rate. They're trying to put more tax brackets in. It's not going to happen. The House Republicans are standing firm. Mark Meadows with the Freedom Caucus says, no, guys, our way or the highway. It's going the way the American people expect and the way they were promised by President Trump. And if you want it any other way, you got another king coming, and you're going to have a huge egg on your face if you try to stop it.
I think we're on firm ground in the House. Of course, the Senate's going to be a whole other story, isn't it?
Absolutely. The other thing Trump has said is that if they don't include a provision in this new tax law that rolls back the individual mandate for Obamacare, he will probably work out an executive order to do it administratively. He can do it within the law. Now, let's move on to the scandalous Democrat Party. Donna Brazil's book is on fire, and she has pretty much been rejected by the Democrats after telling the truth about Hillary taking over the Democrat Party, which was left broke by Obama. And she said, well, there's a little price to pay. She's like, meet old Mr. Potter and It's a Wonderful Life. She said, well, I can help you out with your mortgage, George, but you're going to have to give me control of the bank, And basically, she took over the staffing and budget and financing of the Democrat Party, and it was, as Donna Brazil says, rigged. The book, by the way, is dedicated to Seth Rich, the murdered DNC employee, whom I suspect may have something to do with leaking some of the DNC emails.
And
out.
this takeover of the DNC by the Clinton campaign happened before the primaries. Bernie never had a chance.
No, the fix was in. Not only that, but Joe Biden was told to back off running. You notice how he had that odd announcement that sounded like an announcement, but he said, consequently, I'm not going to run. It was kind of like Comey saying, consequently, I'm not going to charge her. They scared him away.
He's got a book out now, and he talks about it extensively, how he really was scared off by the Clinton campaign because there's things in his private life, his son's private life, that they were going to use against him.
Not surprisingly, views of the Democrat Party are at a new 25-year low, and this is according to a poll from, guess what? Wait for it, drum roll, CNN. CNN, favorable views of Democrat Party have dropped to their lowest mark in more than a quarter century of polling, according to new numbers from a CNN poll. Only 37% of Americans have a favorable opinion of Democrats, down from 44% of March of this year. And a majority, 54%, have an unfavorable view of Democrats. So Democrats, you're whistling past the graveyard if you think you're going to win next year. Okay, one more thing. Virginia. We know what happened in Virginia. Gillespie got his butt kicked by Democrat Lieutenant Governor Northam. But you know something? The reason why is pretty easy to understand. Gillespie was a Bush guy. Gillespie was really never a Trump guy. He started to try to sound like a Trump guy. He tried to catch a ride on the Trump train, which was already going full speed at the time. It's pretty hard to do that. You get mangled up pretty badly. So here's what Steve Bannon said about that yesterday.
So Virginia is a blue state. Now, one of the things about the Gillespie campaign just shows you is you can't fake the Trump agenda. You have to go all in. And this agenda is a winning agenda. Do not believe the opposition party. Do not believe the fake news and fake media. This agenda is what America needs now. It is what America needs to rebuild its future. And it's a winning ticket.
That's right. Laura Ingraham said much the same thing about Gillespie. He stuck one toe in the water. He wouldn't have Trump come down. He tried to play it down the middle, and you can't do that, and it was roadkill.
Joe, I'm going to make a prediction that a year from now, it's going to be all over but the crying for the Democrats, because I think Trump is going to accomplish remarkable things. This man is an exceptional, transformational president. I don't think they have any idea what's in store from this president.
Well, he's winning, and winning's going to get more winning, and that's how we're going to win in 2018.
What's the old adage? Living well is the best
That's
revenge.
right.
Well, if all Americans are living well, then Donald Trump is going to live well. He's actually gotten accustomed to being in the White House instead of his gold-plated Trump Tower. And, it was a come-down, but he's ready. Next week, we will see you on Facebook Live. We will hear you on the radio. And we hope we all together will make America great again. Thanks for being with us.
To Trump Talk Live, making America great again, 1 hour at a time. Follow us at Volusia County Republican Party on Facebook or go to our website, TrumpTalkLive.com, for updates. Join your Trumpublican hosts, Vic Baker and Tony Ledbetter, for another fearless edition of Trump Talk Live next Thursday at 7 p.m. right here on WNDB 1150 AM and 93.5 FM. Trump Talk Live is presented each week by the Republican Party of Volusia County, where we the people have the right voice when it comes to defending America's founding values. In God we trust, in America we believe.
The Republican Executive Committee of Volusia County is responsible for the content of this advertising.
FM 93.5, AM 1150, WNDB Daytona Beach. Proud to be locally owned, a Southern Stone station.
Shopping the 1,000 booths at the Daytona Beach Flea and Farmers Market's the best way to jumpstart your weekend.
Come see dozens of new vendors. The Daytona Flea and Farmers Market is the place for great savings and the best variety, and there's never a charge for parking or admission.
With the largest monthly car show on the coast and a monthly arts and crafts show, there's always